the elegant pavilion behind the academy. The academy head and the eldest princess were engaged in a pleasant conversation. Huiqing's voice was cool and clear as she said, "It's been half a year since we last met. Your hair has gained many more silver strands, headmaster." The headmaster chuckled softly. Huiqing's eyes flickered slightly, like a mirror of ice cracking. "On my way up the mountain today, I overheard the academy disciples reciting a poem. Do not worry about lacking friends on the road ahead, for who in the world does not know you? Such a masterpiece. I was deeply delighted to hear it. I wonder which great scholar composed it." This eldest princess of the great Phoenix dynasty was different from ordinary women. Born into a scholarly family, she was proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, truly talented. But this eldest princess learned chess from Wei Yuan, studied military strategy from Zhang Xian, and learned statecraft from Chen Tai. She could recite the classics of the sages from memory. Her essays and policy discussions surpassed even the scholars of the Imperial Academy. Her knowledge was vast and profound. At the age of 18, the emperor granted her special permission to participate in the compilation work of the Hanlin Academy. 2 years ago, Huiqing attempted to rewrite the history books of the previous dynasty, which provoked protests from the officials. In the end, the matter was dropped. Headmaster Zhao Shou shook his head with a smile. Yunlu Academy is full of talented individuals, but none can match the spontaneity of that poem. The entire Great Phoenix dynasty has become rigid in thought, lacking vitality, and poetry thrives on vitality. Huiqing was puzzled by the headmaster's words. Zhao Shou sighed. The one who composed this was not a scholar, but a minor official from Chang'an County. Huiqing's expression shifted slightly. Then, with sincere eyes, she spoke earnestly. "Headmaster, have you truly considered stepping forward? Confucianism emphasizes the importance of people. The court is in disarray. Headmaster, you must not waste your years any longer. In fact, the position at the Qinzhou office of transmission was originally intended for you, Zhao Shou, but you declined, unwilling to take up the post, and instead recommended the Ziyang scholar to the court." Zhao Shou sighed. "Waste my years? If I can pave a path of learning for future generations, why wouldn't I be happy to do so? Unfortunately, enlightenment and even with great effort, one cannot overcome the heavenly tribulation of the great Phoenix." Huiqing remained composed, saying, "Headmaster, your obsession runs too deep. Why go to such lengths? My father invited you to step forward with the intention of revitalizing Yunlu Academy. If you truly care for the students of Yunlu Academy, you should not refuse." Zhao Shou smiled bitterly. "It seems I am losing control over Wei Yuan, and those scholars, their dragon-slaying techniques are becoming sharper." Huiqing spoke from the heart, word by word. "It is for the people of the Great Phoenix, for the sake of all under heaven." Zhao Shou's smile grew increasingly sarcastic. "The people? All under heaven?" Huiqing sighed. After the Battle of Shanhai, the Great Phoenix's national strength has been declining. Natural disasters strike year after year, and the number of displaced people is countless. The signs of decline are becoming more apparent. The court officials are consumed by factional strife, with countless idle talkers and few who take real action. Those who truly work for the country are few and far between. "Headmaster, the empire needs a Feng Bujiang." Without waiting for Zhao Shou to respond, she continued, 3 years ago, the northern barbarians tore up the treaty, repeatedly invading our borders, plundering our people. The southern barbarians destroyed our outposts, ambushing our troops in an attempt to reclaim their lost lands. The Western nations watch coldly from the sidelines, while the Buddhist sects use this to pressure us to allow their teachings in the Central Plains. She gradually raised her voice. "Headmaster, as a scholar, shouldn't you step forward to fulfill your ambitions and restore the nation's glory?" Zhao Shou stared at Huiqing for a moment, then shook his head and sighed. "It's not that I don't want to, but the time is not yet right. Princess, please return." Huiqing's eyes could not hide her disappointment. Just as she was about to take her leave, hurried footsteps were heard outside the pavilion. A teacher from the academy rushed in hurriedly. He shouted, "Dean, something terrible has happened. Li Mubai, Zhang Shun, and Chen Tai are fighting. One called the other an old fool, the other called him a shameless old thief. It seems they are truly furious." Huiqing suggested, "Dean, let me go with you." Zhao Shou did not respond. Within the confines of the Sages' Academy, in the next moment, a surge of the two of them vanished on the spot. When Huiqing opened his eyes again, they had already arrived at the Sages' Academy. But then, the righteous energy surged once more, and Zhao Shou's figure disappeared again. Huiqing walked out of the Sages' Academy, gazing blankly at the sky. He clearly couldn't understand what was happening. The 3 great scholars were actually fighting over a piece of advice for teachers. Zhang Xin snorted, "Li Mubai, you shameless scoundrel. It was bad enough that you competed with me for students before, but today you've stooped to such despicable behavior. Have you forgotten all the teachings of the sages?" Li Mubai retorted loudly, "As a teacher, what's wrong with helping my disciple refine his essays and poems? It's clearly you, old fool, who's jealous of my talent." Chen Tai sneered, "Just shut up. Even I can't stand to watch this anymore." Li Mubai shot him a sideways glance. "Zhang has a reason to be upset with me, but But what does this have to do with you, Chintai? Go cool off somewhere else. At this moment, Zhang Shun pulled out a scroll from his sleeve and said leisurely, it seems that competing in righteous energy won't settle this. He tore out one page and set it ablaze. The moment the paper burned to ashes, swarms of emerald green beetles materialized out of thin air, buzzing as they lunged toward Li Mubai. Li Mubai remained calm, pulling out a scroll of his own. He tore off 2 pages and ignited them simultaneously. I traveled the world in my younger years, and I didn't come back empty-handed. As the pages burned, they transformed into a crimson lizard. The lizard puffed up its cheeks, and with a roar, it spewed a column of flame dozens of feet long, incinerating the swarm of green beetles into ash. At the same time, the other page finished burning, materializing into a scantily clad young woman. Her movements were as light as a fish in water, and in an instant, she appeared before Zhang Shun. Zhang Shun's eyelids grew heavy, overcome by an irresistible drowsiness. At that moment, Chintai also burned a page from his scroll. A brilliant golden pill materialized, radiating golden light. Li Mubai was caught off guard, staggered by the golden light. Meanwhile, Zhang Shun, scorched by the golden pill, shook off his drowsiness. He quickly summoned his righteous energy, dispersing the scantily clad young woman. The 3 great scholars fought fiercely in midair, their battle reaching a fever pitch. The students below watched with great interest, never expecting to witness such a spectacle. Great scholars engaging in combat. It was truly a once-in-a-lifetime event. Huiqing was somewhat amazed by the scholars' techniques. At the 6th-ranked Confucian level, one could learn the unique skills of other disciplines and record them in books through the tip of a brush. Zhang Shun had employed the methods of ancient poetry. The young woman on Li Mubai's page likely belonged to the wizard system. As for Chantai's technique, if I'm not mistaken, it was the golden pill of the thief sect. Zhang Shun gritted his teeth. You shameless old thief. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Li Mubai, your pants have fallen. Li Mubai froze, feeling a chill below his waist. Horrified, he realized his pants had indeed slipped to his ankles. Li Mubai's composure shattered, and he roared, everyone's pants have fallen. Below, countless people panicked, bending over to pull up their pants. A milky white jade pendant at Huiqing's waist glowed. Escaped this episode. At this moment, a commanding voice clearly reached everyone's ears. Fighting among fellow disciples is forbidden here. Floating in the air is forbidden here. Get down now. As the voice fell, the vast righteous aura of the 3 great scholars automatically dissipated. Newton regained his dignity and pulled them down from mid-air. Zhao Shou, with disheveled gray hair, walked up to the 3 with a stern face. What's going on? Zhang Shun and Li Mubai exchanged silent glances, instantly reaching a tacit understanding. Nothing much. We just had a disagreement in our studies. Neither of us could convince the other, so we resorted to another method. But suddenly, Chintai was exposed by the 2. Dean, I report that they are lying to you. Zhao Shou's attention was drawn to a notice nearby. After staring at it for a moment, he saw a line of small characters, and his heart immediately understood. Zhao Shou's face twitched. What were they hiding from me just now? He was about to speak, when Huiqing appeared behind him. Looking at the notice, he asked, who wrote this poem? Zhang Shen quickly replied, it was my student. His name is Su Qian, and he also wrote Mianyang Pavilion and Songyang Qianji of Qinzhou. Li Mubai added, he is a constable in Chang'an County, and also my disciple. Huiqing found the name somewhat familiar, as if he had heard it mentioned before, but couldn't recall where. Such talent. Being a constable in Chang'an County is a waste. Even if he only knows how to write poetry, it would be enough for me to keep him in my mansion as an advisor. Huiqing's clear eyes swept over the crowd. Where is he now? Chintai replied, he went hiking. 600 years ago, someone single-handedly shattered the fortune of a dynasty. This person, named Qianzhong, was active during the founding of the Great Feng dynasty. At that time, the previous dynasty's ruler was corrupt, officials were greedy and corrupt, and the people suffered under the tyranny of the powerful. Rebellions broke out across the land, with warlords carving out their own territories. The imperial court and the rebel forces were locked in a decade-long stalemate. The common people lived in misery. Qianzhong, a second-grade scholar, traveled for 3 years, witnessing the suffering of the people firsthand, engaged in a tug-of-war that lasted over a decade. The common people at the bottom of society lived in extreme hardship. Qianzhong, a second-grade scholar, traveled for 3 years, witnessing firsthand the suffering of the people. Filled with anger, he carried the grievances of the people to the capital, and with his own flesh and blood, shattered the dwindling fortune of the dynasty. After that, the Great Feng dynasty was established, bringing peace to the land. The 4 seas were calm and prosperous. Su Qian looked skeptical. Are second-grade scholars really that powerful? Why don't I see anything impressive about the 3 scholars? Su Xianyan instinctively retorted. Who told you they were second-grade scholars? They are only 4th-grade gentlemen. The term, great scholar, has two meanings. One refers to learned and respected scholars. The other specifically refers to second-grade scholars of the Confucian path. 3 scholars at the... Su Qian asked doubtfully, "Does Yunlu Academy have any second-grade scholars?" Su Xinian shook his head regretfully. "In the past 200 years, the highest we've had is a third-grade scholar. Our academy's dean is a third-grade scholar." Su Qian shared his thoughts with Su Xinian. The personalities of those 3 old gentlemen seem a bit exaggerated and unserious, lacking a certain level of seriousness. Su Xinian pondered for a moment. They weren't like this before. Lacking a bit of steadiness. Su Xinian pondered for a moment. They weren't like this before. After the 4th grade gentleman realm comes the 3rd grade, establishing destiny realm. Perhaps this change is related to the establishing destiny realm. Zhang Jushi was also like this before, but recently his personality changed drastically. It's like he's a different person now. I heard from my teacher that Zhang Jushi is only half a step away from the Dawn realm. The 2 brothers wandered aimlessly around the academy. Su Xinian took him to visit some famous historical sites. Su Xinian suddenly spoke in a low voice. "Brother, I thought about it a lot yesterday. If it weren't for you, father would have been executed. The female family members would have been sent to the brothels. If it weren't for you, Lin, you would have been in danger yesterday, likely harassed by that Zhou guy. If it weren't for you, the Su family might still be immersed in the relief of surviving the disaster, and then one day, suddenly be wiped out." After saying this, he strode forward, whispering a silent thank you. Inside the Yashing Academy, Su Xinian looked at the white egret and said, "This is the origin of the name Yunlu Academy." Su Qian remarked, "Scholars have such elegant white egrets as their mounts?" Su Xinian glanced at his cousin, correcting him. "Not mounts, but wives." Su Qian re-examined the Yashing statue with difficulty. "Doesn't seem much different. After all, they're both from the academy." The Yunlu records mention that this white egret demon, after listening to the classics at the feet of the sage, transformed into a human and stayed by Yashing's side. One human, one demon, growing up together since childhood, with deep affection, they became husband and wife. Human-demon love was not tolerated by the world at that time, and it still isn't now. But when the sage found out, he did not separate them. Instead, he approved their marriage. The sage said, "Great love knows no bounds," showing that with true affection, humans and demons can stay together forever. Since ancient times, human-demon love has always been controversial, like the unity of heaven and man. So, what is the controversy surrounding this Yashing? Calling a deer a horse. The horse character, Ma. Su Qian bowed slightly to the Yashing statue, while Su Xinian respectfully performed the disciple salute to Yashing. As Su Xinian paid his respects, Su Qian glanced around the hall, noticing 2 stone tablets on either side, each as tall as a person, inscribed with the words, "Loyalty unto death repays the emperor's grace, leaving a legacy for generations, eternal fame." Su Xinian walked over and said, "This was left here by the Yashing of the Imperial College." Su Qian was intrigued. His eyes filled with curiosity. Su Xinian whispered, "This matter dates back 200 years, to the dispute over the heir apparent. The dispute over the heir apparent, in the Great Feng dynasty, was about the selection of the crown prince. The crown prince is the foundation of the state. At that time, Emperor Ranzong was on the throne, and the position of crown prince had been vacant for over a decade. 2 princes were the main contenders. One was the eldest son of the empress, and the other was the son of a concubine, born to a favored noblewoman. That noblewoman was exceptionally beautiful and charming, deeply loved by Emperor Ranzong. Emperor Ranzong intended to make the concubine's son the crown prince, but faced strong opposition from the entire court. Emperor Ranzong issued several decrees, all of which were rejected by the cabinet. At that time, the scholars of Yunlu Academy led the opposition. Su Xinian said leisurely, "The eldest son should inherit, not the younger. The legitimate over the illegitimate. This has been the rule since ancient times. Even the emperor cannot violate it." "Brother, you're absolutely right. Reason is the scholar's weapon against tyranny." This dispute over the heir apparent lasted for 6 years, during which 4 cabinet chiefs were replaced. Officials came and went in waves. Finally, a scholar from Yunlu Academy took over as the head of the cabinet. He did not continue the principles of his predecessors, but instead sided with Emperor Ranzong, enduring criticism to resolve the issue for the emperor. The heated dispute over the heir apparent finally ended, but Yunlu Academy fell out of favor with Emperor Ranzong. He realized that the existence of Yunlu Academy was detrimental to imperial rule. At this time, Chen Hui proposed establishing the Imperial College to train talents under the court's own supervision. From then on, the decline of Confucianism began. This is the origin of the conflict between Yunlu Academy and the Imperial College over the orthodoxy of Confucianism. Su Qian suddenly understood. The Imperial College is a state institution, while Yunlu Academy is private. How can a private institution compete with a state one? After Su Xinian finished speaking, he asked with a probing tone, "Brother, what are your thoughts?" "I'm referring to the dispute over the heir apparent," not academic matters. Su Qian thought to himself. If it were about academics, I wouldn't have much to say. Someone like you, a country bumpkin, wouldn't be able to answer. Su Qian said leisurely. On the surface, it's about the heir apparent, but in reality, it's a power struggle. Scholars who want to realize their ambitions must hold great power, but the amount of power in a country is fixed. When you hold greater power, others inevitably lose theirs. The highest level of factional struggle is to sideline the emperor, becoming the uncrowned king. Su Qian originally spoke casually, but upon hearing this, his expression changed drastically. Su Qian glanced at him. What? Am I wrong? Su Qian took a deep breath. Keep going. Su Qian nodded. No matter how powerful the Confucian art of controlling the dragon is, imperial power will always be stronger in the end. Holding on to court politics is only temporary. In the end, you will be purged, because a minister will always remain a minister. Su Qian asked urgently, is there any way to break this? Su Qian shook his head. This is unsolvable. The court is like a battlefield. Factional struggles are thrilling for a moment, but they lead to the cremation of the whole family. However, I have another idea here. Shindara's story is a living example. When you can influence the fate of another nation, you transition from being a scholar dependent on imperial power to becoming a powerhouse who can stand on equal footing with the emperor. Su Qian's eyes lit up, and a look of joy appeared on his face. Then he heard Su Qian say leisurely, second brother, you are exceptionally intelligent. You are truly teachable. Su Qian did not continue speaking, pondering a question in his heart. Although Yunlu Academy's prospects in the officialdom have been cut off, it remains a sacred place that holds the Confucian cultivation system. As for the decline of the entire Confucian system, is it because after the third rank, Confucian practitioners must enter the court and observe its workings? Or is it related to something like the Confucian Qiyun? Su Qian asked, what does this stele mean? Why is it erected here? Su Qian looked at his elder brother and sighed. This is a continuation of the orthodox Confucian struggle, or rather, a part of it. That unfinished masterpiece of Cheng Yaxing's brilliance. After establishing the Imperial Academy, it took him 13 years to finally create an educational system that surpassed its predecessors. Su Qian's heart stirred. Preserve heavenly principles, eliminate human desires. Su Erlang nodded. Cheng Yaxing believed that everything in the world follows certain laws. These laws are called Li, principle. Li is the most fundamental thing in the world, and the most correct. All things thrive by adhering to Li. But amidst the chaos and distractions of the world, people lose themselves. Losingly, Cheng Yaxing, as a sage, established a complete set of rules. Scholars who follow these rules will not err. They will be correct, and in harmony with the laws of heaven and earth. This set of rules elevated loyalty, filial piety, and righteousness to the level of heavenly principles. If the ruler demands your death, you must die. If the father demands your death, you must die. For righteousness, one should sacrifice their life. For chastity, one should face death. Su Qian listened in silence, then suddenly asked, what do you think of this? Is it right or wrong? Why do you study? What is the purpose of a scholar? Is it not to establish a moral heart for heaven and earth, to secure the destiny of the people, to continue the teachings of the ancient sages, and to bring peace to all generations? Yet today's Confucianism follows the principle of preserving heavenly principles and eliminating human desires. Su Qian was stunned by his elder brother's questioning. He stood there dumbfounded, opening his mouth to speak, but as if some mysterious force held him back, he couldn't utter a word. Su Qian understood. This force was called thought imprisonment. Su Qian turned his gaze back to the stele. So, this is why the stele exists. Su Erlang nodded. The conflict between Yunlu Academy and the Imperial Academy is an academic dispute, a clash of ideologies. But this stele has stood in Yaxing Academy for 200 years, unshaken. As long as it exists, Yunlu Academy will never surpass the Imperial Academy. The dean, Hao Shouqiang, has been guarding the academy for over a decade, attempting to refute the content recorded on the stele, trying to establish a more mature and correct ideology. But he failed. Su Qian interjected. Because it represents truth, it represents correctness. Su Qian sighed repeatedly. Dean, in fact, generations of great scholars and teachers at the academy have been grappling with this stele, but no one has succeeded. Cheng Yaxing's ideology cannot be easily refuted by ordinary people. Su Qian had a guess in his heart, pointing to the side. What about the blank stele next to it? Su Qian sighed. The dean placed it there, but for over a decade, he has never written on it. Later, students and scholars tried to write on the stele to counter Cheng Yaxing's inscription, but their writings were erased the next day. However, the brush and inkstone on the table remained. Perhaps the dean still holds a glimmer of hope. Unfortunately, the person the dean has been waiting for has never appeared. I once thought I could be that person, and I also wrote on the stele. At this point, Su Qian did not continue, clearly unwilling to share his youthful arrogance with his cousin, lest he experience social death once more. Su Qian faced the stele, reading the inscription. Loyalty in death repays the emperor's grace, a name that will be remembered for eternity. After a moment of silence, he spoke solemnly, cousin, let me ask you, is the emperor more important or the people of the world? Su Xinyan answered without hesitation, naturally, the people of the world. Su Qian pressed further. Then why do you study? Su Xinyan instinctively replied, to serve the country and repay its kindness. After saying this, he himself was stunned. Su Qian didn't seem to mind, continuing to ask, is leaving a name in history truly the lifelong pursuit of a scholar? Su Xinyan did not answer, but his silence spoke volumes. The actions of the two great scholars of Yunlu Academy, to curry favor with the authorities, also spoke volumes. Su Qian sighed softly. If the emperor demands your death, you must die. If the father demands your death, you must die. Why? Why can't this shitty society have a bit more human rights? Su Qian smiled. I am not a scholar, but I also want to write something. Cousin, grind the ink for me. This time, I will write it myself. Su Qian's mind suddenly flashed to the face of the vendor from this morning. Though clearly in pain, he dared not ask for pay. Pitiful, like a dog, the long-standing issues of the great Feng dynasty have festered for too long. The court is filled with hypocrites who preach loyalty and patriotism, yet never cast a compassionate glance at the common people. He thought of Zhou Li's arrogant demeanor when galloping through the streets. He thought of the records of the powerful running rampant in the capital. The existence of superhuman martial prowess has made the flaws of the feudal dynasty even more glaring. It has also stripped the common people of the courage to rise up in rebellion. In his previous life, he at least knew of several grand peasant uprisings. But in this world, peasant uprisings don't even have the chance to take shape before being swiftly crushed. Su Qian took a deep breath, picked up the brush and wrote, to establish a moral heart for heaven and earth, to secure the destiny of the people, to continue the teachings of the ancient sages, and to bring peace to all generations. After writing, Su Qian felt refreshed. The pent-up frustration in his chest dissipating, he tossed the brush aside and declared loudly, cousin, this is what scholars should strive for. Su Xinyan's mind was struck as if by lightning, splitting open the chaos in his spirit, breaking the shackles of his soul. He stared blankly at his cousin, wondering if it was an illusion. Su Erlang seemed to see a flash of intense purple aura above his cousin's head. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed as the nearby steel split apart. A massive crack running from top to bottom appeared. The brothers were startled. Before they could react, the entire Yashing Academy began to tremble. A surge of spiritual energy erupted from the Yashing statue, piercing through the clouds above the mountain peak. The phenomenon could be seen dozens of miles away. Su Qian was stunned. What's going on? Did we cause trouble? Su Xinyan, agitated, shouted. What trouble? What does this have to do with us? We were never at. With that, he grabbed his head and bolted out the door. Su Qian quickly chased after him. Su Qian hadn't expected that his casual remark would cause such a terrifying phenomenon, but he still couldn't help but tease his cousin. Did I just solve a centuries-old problem for the academy? Su Xinyan instinctively retorted. At most, it's a 200-year-old problem. Su Qian asked, what should we do now? If it were me when I first entered the academy, I would suggest you stay here and accept the worship and gratitude of the academy's teachers and students. But now, I just want to take you and leave quickly. Leaving without a word is the best choice at this moment. The conflict between Yunlu Academy and the Imperial Academy is a battle of ideologies. If you accept the gratitude of Yunlu Academy, you will inevitably attract the hostility of scholars from the Imperial Academy. All the nobles and officials in the court are from the Imperial Academy. A single tax silver case has already caused endless trouble. This is 100 times more dangerous and troublesome than that. Su Qian sighed inwardly. Cousin, you and I think alike. He chuckled. Cousin. Su Xinyan shot back. You brute of a martial artist. Then he added, as long as we leave, I believe the academy won't publicize this recklessly. They will keep it confidential for us. Outside the Sages Academy, everyone watched the phenomenon occurring at Yashing Academy. When Huiqing turned around, she found that the dean and the three great scholars had already disappeared. Inside the spacious hall of the Sages Academy, spiritual energy rippled like a spring breeze, revealing Zhao Shou's figure. He quickly scanned every corner of the hall. Then his gaze focused on the cracked Yashing steel. The three great scholars arrived shortly after, all asking the dean what had happened. Why did the steel crack? Li Mubai was the first to react, thinking this was a good thing. It meant the seal-suppressing Yunlu Academy's spiritual energy had been shaken. But then he noticed the dean's unusual state, as if he were lost in his own world. In a trance-like state, Zhao Shou kept murmuring, to establish a moral heart for heaven and earth, to secure the destiny of the people, to continue the teachings of the ancient sages, and to bring peace to all generations. At this moment, everyone noticed the words on the steel. Chun Tai's lips trembled. This is what a scholar should truly strive for. To serve the people, to serve the country and the world, not just a single family, or a select few. This great scholar, renowned for his talent in governance, was now trembling uncontrollably, his voice hoarse. An epiphany. An epiphany indeed. Zhao Shou whispered, "Gentlemen, let us pay our respects." The three great scholars bowed in unison and then left. The hall doors closed, and silence fell. Zhao Shou stood silently before the stele, the sunlight filtering through the latticed windows, casting dappled light on the floor. After a long while, he bowed deeply to the stele, performing the disciples' great ritual. Having heard the Tao in the morning, one can die content in the evening. Huiqing, holding up her skirt, finally arrived outside Yashing Academy. She gazed at the academy, recalling the words of the three great scholars. "Princess, do not ask further. We are also at a loss for now." Huiqing's voice was clear and melodious. Yunlu Academy's spiritual energy surged, and Yashing Academy has been sealed. Report this to Duke Wei, and have him investigate closely. The night watchman clasped his fists in acknowledgement. Huiqing continued, "Investigate someone for me. He is a constable from the Chang'an County office, named Su Qian." At the Star Observation Tower's Bagua platform, Jian Zheng sat at the desk, holding a cup of wine, silently gazing towards the northwest of the capital. Beside him, Chu Kaiwei said, "Master, when can I reach the 6th rank and become an alchemist?" Jian Zheng smiled and replied, "When you stop focusing on eating and rest properly, the time will come." Chu Kaiwei, while eating, replied, "That might never happen then." She swallowed her food and continued, "By the way, that jiayin is highly flammable and explodes when thrown into water. Is there really no way to store it? This makes it hard to report to the emperor." Jian Zheng said softly, "The emperor has too much time on his hands. Just tell him to buzz off." Chu Kaiwei stuck out her tongue. "Your disciple dares not say such things. You go ahead." "Master, fourth senior brother is almost going mad. Aren't you going to do something? He keeps running outside the city, saying the door to the mysteries of alchemy has opened for him." "Master, I think that Constable, Su Qian, is quite good. Should we recruit him into the 4 heavenly swords?" "Master, what is grafting?" Jian Zheng snapped. "Can't even eating shut your mouth?" "As it turns out, it's wise not to talk too much while eating." Chu Kaiwei, while eating, kept asking Jian Zheng all sorts of nonsensical questions. In a fit of anger, Jian Zheng turned all her food into ashes. Chu Kaiwei begged, "Master, turn it back." But Jian Zheng just chuckled, "Master, we'll teach you another lesson. In the field of alchemy, most transformations are irreversible." Chu Kaiwei wiped her tears, crying as she walked away. "I'm never coming to keep you company again, you old man." At the elegant pavilion by the bamboo grove of Yunlu Academy, Li Mubai said with a serious expression, "I've asked around. No students were near Yashing Academy at the time, and no one knows who entered it. The handwriting on the stele doesn't belong to any of our students. Anyone who writes that poorly couldn't have been taught by our academy." Zhang Shan knocked on the table. "If it wasn't a student from the academy, and they were in the academy today, then it must have been the Su brothers who happened to be touring the mountain." Li Mubai sighed, thinking about that stele. "I feel ashamed. I had long given up on trying to challenge it, focusing only on leaving a legacy and having my name recorded in history." Zhang Shan praised him. "Brother Jingchun, your integrity is admirable. Let me guide that scholar then." Li Mubai immediately changed his tone. "Serving the country and the people doesn't conflict with leaving a legacy." Dean Zhao Shou stared at Li Mubai, his eyes gleaming. "You're one step away from reaching the establishing destiny realm." Li Mubai smiled and stroked his beard. An epiphany, a sudden clarity. The other 2 great scholars instantly felt envious. The 3rd rank, establishing destiny realm, is a stage where one seeks their life's purpose. Everyone has their own path. Dean Zhao Shou's path is to create a new school of thought for Confucianism, to break the intellectual shackles for countless scholars, and to forge a new path. Until he achieves this goal, he cannot break through to the 2nd rank. Zhao Shou's eyes shone with divine light as he said, "From today onwards, Yashing Academy is off limits to students. This matter must not be spread." Then, addressing the 3, he declared, "A gentleman should be thrifty in speech." The 3 great scholars bowed in unison. "We obey." A horse galloped swiftly, slowing down as it approached the capital. The brothers reduced their speed, and Su Xinyan asked the question on his mind, "Brother, shouldn't you explain how someone who only received basic education could utter such earth-shattering words?" Su Xinyan proudly lifted his chin. "That's something only a scholar could say." Su Qian really wanted to retort, "Look at how smug you are. All else is inferior. Only studying is supreme, right? I, at least, have 9 years of compulsory education and police academy, graduation under my belt, and I'm a seasoned keyboard warrior. I've been deeply influenced by keyboard culture, and I know a little about everything. If we really compare knowledge reserves, you scholars are nothing but juniors in front of me." He paused for a moment, then changed his tone. "You scholars are influenced by certain ideologies, and over time, even if you realize something is wrong, it's hard to break free from it. This is what we call thought imprisonment." Su Xinyan repeated the phrase thoughtfully. Even the dean of Yunlu Academy is imprisoned by his thoughts, influenced by the academic traditions of the city. He wants to break through, to find a new school of thought, but he himself is trapped in the vortex. How can he lead scholars out of it? The only ones who can truly do it are those who stand outside the vortex, Su Qian said smugly. Perhaps it's precisely because I, your elder brother, haven't read many books, that I can take unconventional paths, be innovative, and remain unshackled by traditional academic constraints. Su Qian looked at Su Qian with admiration. Brother, your words have enlightened me. You're truly amazing. Su Qian smirked. Too bad. You didn't inherit the superior genes of the Su family. You got the Li families instead. Su Qian suddenly didn't want to talk to him anymore. If mother hears this, she'll be so angry she'll slam the table again, saying this little brat is at odds with her. In the capital of Great Feng, at a shop called Treasure Pavilion, the boss sent Su Qian off like he was seeing off a god of plague. The reason was that the shop had launched a promotion, solve a riddle, and you could buy jewelry at half price. Su Qian took advantage of this, to help his mother solve the riddles and buy jewelry, but he kept half of the saved silver for himself. After Su Qian's antics, the boss was practically left without a penny. Su Qian not only got free jewelry, but also made a hefty profit. What should you do if you find someone following you? As soon as Su Qian stepped out of Treasure Pavilion, he noticed someone tailing him. He sensed that the person hiding in the shadows was a skilled expert. At this point, the only ones who would send someone to spy on him were undoubtedly the Zhou family. It seemed his visit to Yunlu Academy was the right move. Even though both he and his uncle were skilled, the women in the family were vulnerable. Dealing with the Zhou family was now urgent. Back at the Su family residence, little Do Ding was chasing geese around. Seeing his elder brother arrive, he happily wanted to show off how skilled he was. But Su Qian was puzzled. Where did these geese come from? Little Do Ding chirped. Mother had someone buy them. She said raising them at home is cheaper than buying from outside. Su Qian nodded. No big geese? Little Do Ding quickly ran off. The big geese are over there. I'll chase them out. A few seconds later, the sound of a child screaming like a pig being slaughtered echoed. Little Do Ding was wailing, dragging a large white goose that had clamped onto his short leg. Su Qian had no intention of saving him. He turned and headed to the study. Su Qian said, Brother and I have made the arrangements. We can send mother and sister to the academy tomorrow. It's also time for Lin Yin to start her education. Su Qian chuckled darkly. Little Do Ding will be so happy. He'll cry tears of joy when he hears this good news. After laughing enough, Su Qian composed himself. He said seriously, there's something I need to tell you. I was followed on my way back. Cousin, what about you? Su Qian sighed. Even if I were followed, how would I know? Uncle Su said gravely. Ning Yin, stay at the residence tonight. We'll stay close to each other, for better protection. Also, I'll go out later to inform Wei Gong about this. Tell them to increase patrols around the area tonight. During dinner, Su Qian coughed to get the family's attention. Just as Auntie was about to scold him, she saw Su Qian take out a box. Inside were the jewelry pieces Su Qian had gotten for free earlier in the day. Auntie's face lit up with a smile, and she reached out to take it, but Su Qian turned and handed it to his sister instead. Uncle Su, sensing trouble, quickly stepped in to mediate. Auntie, don't take this brat seriously. Ning Yin, it would be better if you used the money to help with household expenses. Why bother with these flashy but impractical things? Su Lingyue said calmly. Father, the family isn't short on money for now. The rice you're eating was bought with elder brother's money. Uncle Su was left speechless by his daughter's retort. He quickly changed the subject. Ning Yin, where did you get the money? Su Qian replied. I noticed my sister's jewelry was too cheap, so I kept it in mind. I saved up some silver, and with the riddle-solving discount at Treasure Pavilion, I got these for her. Su Lingyue immediately caught the key point, kept it in mind. It seemed that in this family, only elder brother truly cared about her. Auntie said coldly, Ning Yin will be 20 after the new year. Husband, it's time to arrange a marriage for him. Then she glanced at LV. I think she's a good match. She's been raised in the household since childhood, and she's Ning Yan's childhood friend. LV's cheeks flushed slightly, feeling a bit flustered. Su Lingyue was unhappy. Mother, don't make decisions on your own. Elder brother's marriage should be discussed between him and father, she added. Mother, do you even know what position you hold in elder brother's heart? Auntie, already upset about the jewelry, snapped. Ning Yin and LV are a perfect match. They've known each other since childhood, and you, as a younger sister, have no right to object. Su Qian thought to himself. Known each other since childhood? We haven't even reached that point yet. Su Qian said, Mother, you just want LV to marry elder brother, so you don't have to pay a dowry, and you can have an excuse to make elder brother move out, right? Auntie was caught off guard, and momentarily speechless. Then she snapped. You've always been bad at speaking since you were a child. Uncle Su concluded. Alright, you don't need to worry about this. Until Ning Yin reaches the qi refining stage, he won't be interested in women. LV looked disappointed, so she was just a tool after all. Su Qian had managed to thoroughly upset Annie today. She had thought Su Qian had finally come to his senses and learned to be filial, but in the end, he still managed to infuriate her. After dinner, back in her room, Auntie was still fuming. That little brat has no conscience at all. All he knows is how to upset me. When I first took him from you, he was as small as a kitten. Who raised him? As she muttered to herself, she suddenly saw her husband pull out a wooden box from his pocket and hand it to her. The box had the words Treasure Pavilion engraved on it. Uncle Su said helplessly, Ning Yin asked me to give this to you. Neither of you is willing to back down, so he was too embarrassed to give it to you directly. That's why he didn't bring it out at the table earlier. She held the box tightly and snorted softly. That little rascal still has some conscience. Uncle Su stood by the window on the other side of the room, his expression serious as he gazed at the quiet courtyard outside. Beside him lay the long sword he always carried. The night passed without incident. Uncle Su, who had stayed up all night, and Su Qian both breathed a sigh of relief. Early in the morning, Su Lingyue, as usual, opened the window in her thin nightgown, stretching her graceful figure in the cool morning air. At that moment, her maid asked, Miss, what are you looking at by the window? Su Lingyue's face immediately darkened. 2 hours later, all members of the Su family arrived at the foot of Qingyun Mountain. Second Uncle Su frowned. Are we being too paranoid? Everything has been calm since last night. Su Erlang, who was skilled in military strategy, said slowly, if the people who followed Big Brother yesterday were really sent by Zhou Fu, then they have already missed 2 perfect opportunities to strike. But it's also possible that in Minister Zhou's eyes, we are just ants that can be crushed at any time. He's not in a hurry to deal with us because he has bigger troubles to handle, Su Qian said solemnly. But there's one thing we must face. If Minister Zhou is not eliminated, we will surely die. The Su family members fell silent, and they began to climb the mountain. Su Qian, carrying little Do Ding on his back, said, do you know what's ahead? Little Do Ding shook her head. Su Qian pointed ahead and said, that's your second brother's academy. We're planning to send you there to study. You won't be allowed to come home anymore. Little Do Ding felt dizzy. And the next moment, she burst into tears. Not long after, Li Mubai came out to greet everyone. Su Xinyan bowed and said, greetings, Mr. Mubai. Where is teacher Zhangshan? Li Mubai absent-mindedly replied, he's in seclusion. But his eyes kept glancing at Su Qian. In his heart, he couldn't help but recall the words on the stone tablet. However, he quickly concealed those thoughts. He said, I've already arranged for a courtyard. Su Ci expressed his gratitude. My younger sister is still in the early stages of her education. Sir, would you allow her to study at the academy for a while? Little Doubting wanted to say something, but Su Qian firmly held her back. It was truly like a mute tasting bitter herbs, unable to voice the suffering. Su Lingyin was 5 years old this year. In this era, scholars did not reject the idea of educating young children. In fact, they even encouraged such practices. 2 days passed like this, and then Su Qian spoke up. Let's compile the information we've each gathered over the past 2 days, so we can formulate a plan to deal with the Zhou family. Second Uncle Su's intelligence. Zhou Li has been very well behaved these past few days. He was probably warned by Zhou Shilang, and hasn't engaged in any illegal or unruly behavior. Instead, he's been indulging in pleasure with a group of young officials, frequenting gambling dens, taverns, and brothels. Additionally, I noticed Zhou Li frequently visiting a certain house. The house doesn't have a signboard, so it's likely a private residence he bought outside. Inside there's a maid, an elderly woman, a gatekeeper, and a woman. That woman is almost certainly his mistress. Su Xinyan and Su Qian listened silently, each lost in their own thoughts. Their expressions were different, but both nephew and son tacitly ignored her. Su Xinyan said, the students at our academy, though not aligned with the students of the Imperial College, can still have personal connections. Occasionally, scholars from the same cohort gather together. Zhou Li is arrogant and domineering, and has conflicts with many of his classmates at the Imperial College, but he's definitely not a brainless fool. The people he targets usually have modest backgrounds. Su Qian wasn't surprised by this. From the methods Zhou Li used against him, it was clear that while his tactics weren't sophisticated, they were effective and showed a certain level of cunning. This undoubtedly increases the difficulty of dealing with him. Su Xinyan continued. Zhou Li has long been infatuated with Fuxiang, a courtesan at the Jia Fangxi. Every time he visits Jia Fangxi, he insists on seeing her, but he's often turned away by Luoxue. Su Qian perked up. Fuxiang, that beauty from Jia Fangxi, the one Wang Buta said, was worth sleeping with for a lifetime? Su Xinyan didn't notice his cousin's reaction, and continued, I originally thought we could use the using a tiger to fight a wolf tactic again, exploiting Zhou Li's conflicts with his classmates to formulate a plan. But those classmates don't carry enough weight. Given Zhou Li's cautious nature, it would be too difficult to provoke someone of a higher status within the organization. It's almost impossible to achieve. Zhou Li has visited Fangxi numerous times. If we want to extract more information, that Miss Fuxiang is an excellent breakthrough point. When Su Qian snapped out of his thoughts about the courtesan, he realized that his cousin had fallen into a mental trap. So he spoke up. To deal with Zhou Li, we shouldn't have overly complicated or elaborate plans. The gap between us is too vast. Scholars are most prone to outsmarting themselves. When scheming, they tend to make things harder for themselves by overthinking the intricacies and sophistication of their strategies, especially someone as self-important and well-versed in military tactics as Su Jiao. Su Jiao frowned slightly, feeling somewhat unconvinced. What's your suggestion, brother? Su Qian said calmly. Naturally, the simpler, the better. The most untraceable crime is a crime of passion. Our plan should follow the same principle. First, involve as few people as possible. Second, keep things straightforward. If Zhou Li were to clash with someone from within the organization, and that person's family happens to be as influential as the Zhou family, what would you do, Jiao? Su Xinyan fell into deep thought. Su Qian quickly interjected, all right, your silence says it all. We can disguise ourselves, seize the opportunity to beat up that official, then leave swiftly. Su Pingji finally seized the chance to interject, slamming the table and exclaiming, Ning Yin, this idea suits me perfectly. Su Ci asked doubtfully, is it really that simple? Simple doesn't mean ineffective. Sometimes, leaving things open-ended has its advantages. The beaten official will wonder, who have I offended recently? Upon reflection, he'll immediately think of Zhou Li. And Zhou Li would never admit to such a thing, but that doesn't matter. Everyone will draw their own conclusions. The conflict will escalate. You hit me, so I'll retaliate. Su Ci is a smart person. After a brief moment of thought, he understood his brother's meaning, but his pride wouldn't allow him to admit that Su Qian was better than him. So he raised his chin and gave a lukewarm evaluation. Not bad. Then he asked, what information have you gathered, brother? I found out who Vice Minister Zhou's political enemy is. Su Xinyan and Uncle Su both leaned forward, their expressions turning serious. Su Qian murmured, it's the Minister of Revenue. Su Xinyan's heart skipped a beat, and many of his doubts were instantly resolved. No wonder Vice Minister Zhou is scheming about the tax camp. He knows his superior is about to make things difficult for him, and he urgently needs a huge sum of money to cover the deficit. And because they're both in the Ministry of Revenue, the Minister of Revenue can easily catch Vice Minister Zhou's mistakes. Uncle Su was a bit skeptical. Ning Yin, how did you find out about this? Su Qian said, Miss Kaiwei from the Department of Astronomy told me. He silently added in his heart, the price was just a stick of candied haws, a roasted goose leg, a bowl of fermented rice balls, and a bowl of fishball soup. The big-eyed loli is easy to bribe. That's her advantage. The downside is that she's indifferent to politics, and the Department of Astronomy doesn't interfere in politics either, so her knowledge is limited. That's not good. Miss Kaiwei, what you lack is a copy of Su Dalong's Guide to Being an Excellent Supportive Wife. I'll write it for you later. Su Qian turned to Su Xinyan. The information we've gathered isn't enough to formulate a detailed plan yet. What do you suggest we do next? Su Xinyan thought for a moment. I suggest we visit Fangji and gather information from the courtesan, Fu Xiang. I definitely can't do this. I never visit such places. Su Qian also said seriously, I can't go either, because I haven't reached the qi refining stage yet. After saying this, both of them turned to stare at Su Pingji. Why are you looking at me? Do I look like someone who would visit Fangji? I can't even read. I'd just be embarrassing myself. Seeing his father's reluctance, Su Xinyan then shifted the responsibility to Su Qian. Brother, you're quite popular at Fangji. Uncle Su immediately vetoed his son's suggestion, frowning as he said, your brother is an honest man who doesn't even visit brothels. Sending him to Fangji to gather information. What if he gets trapped there and fails to accomplish the task, and his body is taken over by the women in the brothel? Su Qian, who never visits brothels, nodded in agreement, indicating that he wasn't that kind of person. Uncle Su refused to go to Fangji, not only because it was a place for scholars who disliked rough people, but also for another reason. Su Ci refused to go to Fangji, not only because scholars needed to protect their reputation, but also for another reason. Su Qian refused to go to Fangji, not only because he never visited brothels, but also for another reason. That is, social death. All three of them averted their eyes from each other, falling into an awkward silence. The three of them were at a standstill over who should go to Fangji to gather information, because they all feared social death. This involved an unspoken rule of the inner city. The inner city and the outer city were different. The latter had no curfew, but the former, where all the respectable people lived, had a curfew for the safety of the nobles. After the evening drum, no one was allowed on the streets. As everyone knew, Fangji operated at night. This meant that going to Fangji wasn't just about gathering information, you'd also have to stay overnight. This was why Su Pingji opposed Su Qian going to Fangji. He was a young, vigorous man, and if he stayed at Fangji, who could resist the temptations of the courtesans? Therefore, whoever went to Fangji would have to engage in prostitution, and the three men present all had their reputations to uphold. Su Ci, the upright scholar, Su Qian, who never visited, and Su Pingji, the family man who loved his wife. All three of them knew one thing clearly. Even if it was for a good reason, prostitution was still prostitution. That fact couldn't be changed. What they feared most was running into their own family members while they were in the act. That would be extremely awkward. Su Qian coughed and said, let's put the Fangji matter aside for now. We'll continue gathering information. Besides, we're not even sure if courtesan Fuxiang will have useful information. Let's reconvene the day after tomorrow. If we don't find anything else, we'll consider going then. Su Qian thought to himself, I'll just sacrifice myself. I'll go to Fangji tomorrow night. The next noon, Su Qian returned to the Su residence. In this era, only those with status. It's worth mentioning that Auntie had always wanted to sell their property in the outer city and move to the inner city. Unfortunately, her gold-digging nephew made it impossible for her to fulfill her dream. She longed to live in the inner city, but never had the chance. Soon, Su Qian arrived at a market. He looked up at the street sign, Yongkang Street. Yongkang Street was one of the main thoroughfares of the capital. The width of the main road was deliberate. When the emperor or nobles traveled, guards would clear the streets in advance, even if there were assassins hiding in the buildings on either side. They could only helplessly watch from a distance and type 666 in frustration. As Su Qian wandered around, a luxurious carriage caught his attention. It dazzled his eyes and made him envious. Su Qian thought sadly, even if I worked my whole life, I probably couldn't afford one of its wheels. But then, Su Qian was drawn to a commotion nearby. Soldiers were playing a game of throwing arrows into a pot. After several rounds, none of them had succeeded. A knight walked up to the old man and said loudly, Old man, my master has offered 60 taels of gold for everything on your stall. Su Qian was speechless. This arrow-throwing game had no real stakes, so why not just spend money directly? The old man grinned and said, rules are rules. Curious, Su Qian stepped forward to take a look. The items on the old man's stall were hard to identify, but one thing was clear. The gold and silver ingots on display hadn't been stolen, which meant the old man was no ordinary person. The knight, having been rejected, could only leave in embarrassment. Su Qian seized the opportunity to ask how much to play once. The old man, sitting cross-legged on the ground, handed him 3 arrows, 1 tael of silver, 3 arrows, blindfolded, and you have to stand 3 steps away. Su Qian took the arrows, calculating in his mind. 3 arrows, 3 steps away, blindfolded. For a martial artist at the refining essence stage, it wasn't too difficult, but blindfolded and standing at a distance, it was almost impossible to hit the target. Yet, he was absolutely confident, because he hadn't picked up any silver for several days now. Su Qian casually threw the arrows, and all 3 hit the target. The onlookers gasped in amazement. The commotion caught the attention of the departing carriage. A soft, melodious voice called out from the carriage window, Stop the carriage. Su Qian, eyes shining, rushed toward the old man's stall, reaching for the mirror on the stall. Just as he was about to grab it, the old man slapped his hand away. Then, the old man picked up a Bodhi bracelet and a small jade pendant, smiling as he said, Choose one. Su Qian refused. The old man repeated, Rules are rules. Besides, these 2 items are rare treasures. How can they be compared to mere gold and silver? Young master, don't let wealth blind you. Su Qian thought to himself, but I just want those worldly things. Still, he asked, what do these treasures do? The old man shrugged nonchalantly. I don't know. They're waiting for the right person. Su Qian thought to himself, treasures or not, who can say for sure? Silver is much more practical. Su Qian was about to enjoy a freebie. Just as he was about to complain about the old man being a scammer, a servant from the carriage called out to him, Young master, my master would like to ask for your help. Su Qian turned to look at the luxurious carriage not far away. What does your master want? The servant glanced at the old man. That Bodhi bracelet. My master is willing to pay 60 taels of gold. Su Qian's face lit up with a warm smile. Deal. The servant added, my master says you can try a few more times. We'll cover the cost. If you fail, it's fine. But before he could finish, he saw Su Qian, blindfolded, casually throw the arrows, all of which landed perfectly in the pot. The servant was stunned. This seemingly ordinary young man, dressed like a scholar, was clearly a master. Su Qian removed the blindfold, glancing toward the luxurious carriage. Just then, a breeze blew by, lifting the carriage curtain slightly. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for Su Qian to see inside. The old man handed over the items with a smile. After giving the bracelet to the servant, Su Qian received 60 taels of gold. He watched the carriage drive away, wondering who the important person inside might be. When he turned back, the old man had disappeared. Su Qian muttered a few words and decided not to dwell on it. Now, he needed to exchange the gold for silver notes. The exchange rate between gold and silver here was 1:8. 60 taels of gold amounted to 480 taels of silver. Su Qian was a bit troubled. In the inner city, this amount might only buy a small house. If he wanted a large mansion, he'd need at least 10,000 taels of silver, but it was more than enough to tease his aunt's pretty face. Su Qian sighed. Why is it that every time I earn money, I can't help but think of using the silver to tease Auntie. The original owner's resentment toward Auntie is too strong. 480 taels should be enough to redeem a low-tier courtesan, but it's not worth it. With 480 taels, I could spend time with multiple courtesans for several months. But redeeming one courtesan would not only drain my wealth, but I'd also have to cover her living expenses, and my current salary is only enough to support one wife. Besides, I'd never redeem a courtesan. Using public resources for personal gain is a sin. At dusk, Su Qian arrived at the famous Fangji in the capital, a renowned state-owned pleasure house. Su Qian had heard from Old Wang that a typical brothel was a 2- or 3-story building with 1 or 2 courtyards, which was considered quite luxurious. But Fangji didn't need that, because the entire area was part of Fangji. State-owned enterprises were just that extravagant. Fangji had a high entry threshold. The minimum spend was 5 taels of silver, but that wasn't the price for spending the night with a courtesan. It was just the table fee. Therefore, Fangji's clients mainly fell into 3 categories. First, wealthy merchants. These clients were the most generous, as their low social status in daily life made them obsessed with the idea of redeeming courtesans. Second, officials. For them, Fangji was a place to relax and socialize after work. They loved coming here for business gatherings. It's worth mentioning that officials from the Ministry of Revenue could enjoy free services, as Fangji was under their jurisdiction. Third, scholars. These clients were more refined than the wealthy merchants, enjoying poetry and conversation. They were also easier to please than officials, making them the favorites of Fangji's courtesans. Fangji's courtesans also fell into 3 categories. First, the families of disgraced officials. These women suffered the most, forced into prostitution, and subjected to humiliation. Second, women captured in war. Third, courtesans recruited by Fangji. These women voluntarily became part of the seafood trade, contributing to the abalone business of the empire. Their spirit was commendable. Su Qian sighed. You really do learn something new every day. Old Wang was truly a man of culture. He stopped outside a courtyard, where the plaque read Yinmei Pavilion. A young gatekeeper, about 16 or 17, stood at the entrance, eyeing Su Qian with a scrutinizing gaze. Su Qian imitated the manners of a scholar. I am Yang Lin, a scholar from Chang'an County. I've long heard of Miss Fu Xiang's fame, and I've come to pay a visit. Yinmei Pavilion was the residence of the courtesan Fu Xiang. Fangji had a total of 12 top courtesans, divided into 4 tiers based on their charm and beauty. Fu Xiang was in the first tier, renowned for her poetic talent and beauty. The gatekeeper, accustomed to dealing with wealthy clients, coldly demanded 10 taels of silver. After receiving the silver, he allowed Su Qian to enter the courtyard. At the entrance, 2 maids greeted him, informing him that the poetry gathering had already begun. A family should stay together. Since we're family, if Su Qian has come to Fangji, won't the other Su family members be far behind? Yinmei Pavilion's reception area was on the 1st floor. A dozen guests sat in the wine room, chatting and laughing. Su Qian recalled Old Wang's explanation of the poetry gathering rules and forced a polite smile. He bowed slightly. I am Yang Lin, a scholar from Chang'an County. Greetings, gentlemen. Among the guests were wealthy merchants in fine robes and students from the Imperial Academy. Their statuses varied, but Su Qian calmly took his seat, his gaze fixed on the courtesan serving as the hostess. She had a delicate face, radiant eyes, and an elegant demeanor. Her charm was natural, and her aura captivating. This woman was truly something else. Even Su Qian, who had seen countless beauties, was stunned. But in terms of facial features, this courtesan was on the same level as his aunt, Su Lingyue, and Chu Kaiwei. They were all equally stunning. Each had their own unique charm, the kind that would undoubtedly captivate men if they walked down the street. The courtesan, Fu Xiang, served as the hostess of the banquet, also known as the Lingguan. The Lingguan was responsible for leading the drinking games, setting the tone for the banquet. They were currently taking turns composing couplets. The middle-aged man next to Su Qian raised his cup and said, cold wine, 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. As soon as he finished, the courtesan clapped her hands, praising the man's couplet with admiration. After her comments, it was Su Qian's turn. Su Qian remained calm on the surface, but inside, he was anxious. Couplets weren't his strong suit, and crafting a perfect one was challenging. But soon, inspiration struck. Lilac flowers, 1,000 heads, 10,000 heads. The guests' eyes lit up, and they immediately praised him. But what Su Qian cared about most was Fu Xiang's feedback. Fu Xiang smiled, and then proceeded to flatter Su Qian's couplet with a series of compliments. After her evaluation, she quickly shifted her gaze away from Su Qian. Her posture became slightly stiff, and she only drank when it was time to drink. From this, Su Qian concluded that the courtesan was unimpressed with their level of talent and was merely tolerating their company. Just then, footsteps approached. Su Qian turned to look and noticed a familiar figure. Wasn't that Su family's second son? Su Qian froze in place. Su Xinyan felt someone's gaze on him, and turned to see his cousin staring at him. Both of them silently cursed in their hearts. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. The middle-aged man beside them looked at them, with an expression of utter disbelief. Curious, he stepped forward and asked, do you know each other? Su Xinyan coughed awkwardly twice, and said, we're more than just acquaintances. Su Qian suppressed his overwhelming shame and embarrassment, and calmly smiled. We've met a few times before. Brother Su, do you remember me? We met in Changel County. He deliberately mentioned his surname, giving Su Xinyan a reminder to use a fake name. Su Xinyan immediately understood his cousin's hint, and clasped his hands toward the middle-aged man, saying, I am Su Ping'an, a scholar from Changel County. As soon as he finished speaking, someone else entered the room. Both of them were startled, thinking, it couldn't be him, could it? Fortunately, it was a false alarm. The newcomer was a young nobleman, but right behind him, Uncle Schwer also walked in. As the saying goes, the family should stay together, and it was immediately proven true. Uncle Schwer was internally cursing. Weren't these two brats saying they didn't have time? Su Xinyan is one thing, since I know a bit about his true thoughts, but Su Qian? He never visits brothels, and Ningyan? She never goes to such places either, and Su Qian? He's the same. Didn't second uncle say he was on duty tonight? Every time I had a conflict with my aunt, he would say, being able to marry such a beautiful wife is the luck of 8 lifetimes. Father never scolded aunt, but now he's out here fooling around? Disgusting. Su Xinyan's thoughts were equally chaotic. Didn't Big Brother say he never visits brothels? No wonder my robe went missing. Disgusting hypocrite. Didn't Father say he deeply loved Mother and never went to such places? Su Qian felt that another extremely awkward moment had been added to his life, running into his uncle and younger brother while visiting a brothel. The three of them had far more colorful inner thoughts than their stiff expressions could convey. Su Qian simply gave up, thinking, it's not like I'm the only one who's embarrassed here. Su Qian's infamous awkward moment struck again. The drinking game continued, and Su Xinyan managed to hold his own. After all, he was a scholar. Su Qian, on the other hand, struggled at times, and had to drink as a penalty when he couldn't come up with a response. Su Pingji, meanwhile, drank from start to finish, earning everyone's disdain. Originally, Su Xinyan had thought that his brother, who excelled at composing poetry, would thrive in such a setting. But after half a day, they had gone through rounds of couplets and drinking games, but there was no poetry involved. In fact, in such gatherings, poetry had always been somewhat neglected. Over the past 200 years, there had been very few outstanding poems, and scholars were not particularly skilled at composing them. Naturally, they avoided what they weren't good at during the gathering. The three of them ended the gathering in this awkward atmosphere. Next, if the courtesan took a liking to someone, she would have her attendant invite them into her room. If no one caught her eye, the attendant would see the guests out, and a new round of the gathering would begin. Everyone waited with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. An attendant approached and announced, "My lady invites young Master Zhao to her room for tea." At this, the 3 men of the Su family were completely unsettled. Uncle Schwer was furious, frowning deeply as he looked at his son, Su Xinyan. "Quick, think of something." But both of them remained frozen in place. Suddenly, Su Qian remembered the courtesan Fu Xiang's title, master of both Qin and poetry. He immediately cleared the table and said to Su Xinyan, "Write this down for me. It's time for me to put on a show." In the courtesan's chamber, Fu Xiang was bathing. A maid by her side said, "My lady, young Master Zhao is waiting in the tea room next door. The guests outside say he's a scholar from the Imperial Academy." Fu Xiang replied indifferently, "What's so special about a scholar? But young Master Zhao's talent makes him a sure candidate for the provincial examination." "I knew it. My lady likes talented young men like him, unlike that Zhou Li, who only flaunts his father's official position. Young Master Zhao is exceptionally talented, so my lady should treat him well. Perhaps this could become a legendary tale in the future." Fu Xiang poked the maid's head lightly and sighed. "Even you're teasing me now. For a woman to leave a mark in history is incredibly difficult. It's something even many scholars dream of, something that's almost impossible to achieve." At that moment, a maid entered and said, "My lady, the guest surnamed Yang outside asked me to deliver a poem to you." The head maid scolded, "You have no manners. My lady has already chosen young Master Zhao. How can this be changed? Did you accept bribes from him?" This directly hit the young maid's weak spot, and she tearfully didn't dare to argue back. Fu Xiang said calmly, "Put it on the table. Go tell the guest that Fu Xiang appreciates his gesture." After finishing her bath, Fu Xiang draped herself in a light gauze dress, her graceful figure faintly visible. She said, "Go invite young Master Zhao in." As soon as she finished speaking, her attention was drawn to the paper on the table. As she read it, her breathing grew heavier. The maid walked to the door, about to open it and invite young Master Zhao in, when suddenly she heard her lady's sharp cry from behind, "Wait, who sent this poem? Which gentleman? Tell me quickly." The maid was startled and stammered, I think he's surnamed Yang. My lady, what's wrong? The courtesan, disregarding everything, tried to rush out of the room, but the maid clung to her tightly. My lady, you can't go out like this. Fuxiang, tears streaming down her face, cried, let me go. Don't let that gentleman leave. Go after him and bring him back. The maid couldn't understand how a single poem could make her lady lose her composure so completely. All her usual grace and elegance were thrown aside. My lady, calm down. I'll go invite the gentleman who wrote the poem right away. After the maid left, the courtesan sat disheveled at the table, staring blankly at the paper in her hand. Amidst the falling flowers, I stand alone, commanding the beauty of this small garden. Sparse shadows stretch across the clear, shallow water, while a faint fragrance drifts under the twilight moon. To Fuxiang, from the plum shadow pavilion, tears as large as beans rolled down her cheeks, and she began to sob softly. The three men waited outside for a long time, but Fuxiang never came. Second Uncle Su sneered. It's over. Miss Fuxiang isn't interested in you. Su Qian gritted his teeth. This can't be. There's no reason Fuxiang would reject me. This poem, if I had given it to the two great scholars of Yunlu Academy, they would have treated me like their own son. At that moment, the young maid rushed over in a hurry. She looked at Su Qian and asked, did you write this poem? The three of them were stunned. Su Qian quickly nodded in response. The maid hurriedly led Su Qian inside. However, the other guests were displeased. This isn't fair. Why did two people go in? Some shrewd guests approached and asked, what poem did you and that gentleman write? Su Pingji shrugged and said, just a casual line for fun. I heard that gentleman say his calligraphy isn't good, so he asked this gentleman to write it for him. The young nobleman felt he had been made a fool of and left in frustration. After everyone had left, Uncle Schwer let out a long sigh of relief. It's not good to stay here any longer. If people find out the three of us are related, it'll be trouble. Originally, if it weren't for the small incident, the maids would have only cost 1 or 2 taels of silver. Now, we'll have to go to another courtyard and find other women, with a minimum price of 5 taels of silver. This includes the cost of the tea gathering. At this point, Su Pingji paused, noticing that his son didn't habitually mock him, or ask why he knew so much about this. But it was better not to ask. Su Pingji awkwardly smiled, and took out 5 taels of silver from his pocket. Erlang, take the silver. When you've tempered your body, you won't fear the cold or heat. Even sleeping on the roadside for a night won't be a problem. But your body can't withstand the night's cold wind. The Su family had been bankrupted by the sleeping inn case, and even after a month, they were still relatively strapped for cash. Su Xinyan's voice was slightly hoarse as he said, I don't want it. But Su Pingji insisted that his son take it. As they struggled, there was a clinking sound, and a silver ingot fell out of Su Xinyan's pocket. It was exactly 5 taels. Father and son stared at the silver on the ground in silence. Meanwhile, the maid pushed open the door to the main bedroom, and gestured for Su Qian to enter. As the curtain was drawn open, he saw a stunningly beautiful young woman, kneeling on a small couch. She was dressed in a light gauze dress, her jade-like skin faintly visible. She smiled softly toward the door, and their eyes met. She lowered her head slightly, a shy smile playing on her lips. Su Qian sighed and said, I've long heard of Miss Fuxiang's unparalleled beauty, a beauty rarely seen in this world. I didn't believe it before, but now I do. Fuxiang pursed her lips shyly and said, Young Master Yang, please don't tease me. At that moment, a voice of protest came from the tea room next door. Young Master Zhao had drunk an entire pot of tea, and his bladder had protested twice. On the third time, he finally couldn't hold it anymore. Did he come here just to drink tea? I've been waiting in the tea room for so long. Why hasn't Miss Fuxiang come to see me yet? The maid firmly blocked the door, not letting him in. Then, the courtesan's voice, full of feminine charm, came. Pinger, since young Master Zhao is dissatisfied, take the poem out and let him see it. Young Master Zhao was truly stunned. What poem? After a long while, young Master Zhao walked down from the second floor, looking utterly dejected. The people waiting around rushed to ask him what had happened. Young Master Zhao, with a pale face, said bitterly, I lost, and I accept it completely. Everyone pressed him further. What exactly happened? You mean by lost? Hurry up and tell us. This is driving us crazy. Young Master Zhao seemed not to hear them, muttering as he walked away. Amidst the falling flowers, I stand alone, commanding the beauty of this small garden. Sparse shadows stretch across the clear, shallow water, while a faint fragrance drifts under the twilight moon. The poem left everyone in awe. One scholar, tears in his eyes, lips trembling, said, with this poem, no one will ever surpass its beauty for eternity. Gentlemen, I must take my leave now. I must go to another tea gathering, to spread this poem far and wide. The guests scattered in an instant, eager to attend other tea gatherings, and share this astonishing news. There are 2 types of people who love to compete, scholars and poets. Since ancient times, many have become famous through poetry, and Fuxiang gazed at Su Qian with tender affection, her charm becoming even more captivating. I must thank you, young master. If I am remembered in history, it will be because of you. Su Qian took a step forward, standing close to Fu Xiang and said, Then how will you thank me? Fu Xiang shyly avoided his gaze. The night is long, young master. Why not let me play a tune for you first? To set the mood? Su Qian took a sip of tea, alleviating the dryness in his throat caused by drinking. He casually brought up a topic. Miss Fu Xiang, with your unparalleled beauty, has no one offered to redeem you? The women of Jiafengxi aren't so easily redeemed. Even if I were to meet a devoted lover, the brothel owner wouldn't agree. Redeeming the top courtesan of Jiafengxi is extremely difficult because it involves a lengthy process and significant bribes, costing far more than redeeming courtesans from other brothels. For ordinary brothels, redeeming a top courtesan might cost 500 to 1,000 taels of silver, but for Jiafengxi, it could be double that, or even more. What does 2,000 taels mean? It would take me 10 years of saving without. Su Qian sighed inwardly. With Miss Fu Xiang's beauty, even in the capital of Dafeng, it would be hard to find a second courtesan like her. Fu Xiang chuckled softly, her heart filled with joy, but she said, Young master, please don't tease me. The most beautiful woman in Dafeng's capital is the princess of Zhenbei. I'm just an ordinary willow in comparison. The princess of Zhenbei? That woman again? Su Qian once again heard about this legendary beauty of the capital. In his previous life, he had seen countless beauties, but after meeting Su Lingyue, Chu Kaiwei, and others who were almost flawless, he couldn't imagine how beautiful the princess of Zhenbei must be to hold the title of the most beautiful woman in the capital. How beautiful is the most beautiful woman in Dafeng? She comes from a scholarly family in Jiangnan, and her beauty is said to be unparalleled. When she was 9 years old, she went with her parents to the Jade Buddha temple to offer incense. The abbot gifted her a poem. Her beauty surpasses all, graceful and pure. Under the setting sun, the crowd praises her, a peerless beauty who captivates even emperors. From then on, her fame spread far and wide. At the age of 13, she was sent to the imperial palace, but the current emperor, devoted to Taoism, had long since distanced himself from women. 19 years ago, during the Great Calamity at Shanhaiguan, the Prince of Zhenbei, as the second greatest contributor, was gifted the most beautiful woman in the capital by the emperor. Su Qian was curious. Who was the greatest contributor? Fu Xiang smiled and said, It was Duke Wei. At that time, Duke Wei was the commander of the 3 armies. If he hadn't been a eunuch, the princess wouldn't have become the princess. Su Qian suddenly understood. Su Qian had heard of Duke Wei before. Duke Wei was a man of great renown. Although he was a eunuch, he was exceptionally talented. He could govern the country with his intellect and quell. If he hadn't lost his chance early on, he could have easily become a top scholar and served as prime minister. After a long while, Fu Xiang finally gave in to Su Qian's persistent questioning, and, under his guidance, finally steered the conversation toward Zhou Li. She said with disdain, That man is lustful, absurd, and utterly lacking in talent. I don't like him. Every time he participates in the tea gatherings, I pretend he doesn't exist. The brothel doesn't care about him either. A young master from the Ministry of Revenue, I don't bother with him. Su Qian feigned curiosity, smiling as he asked, How is he lustful and absurd? Isn't visiting brothels a common thing? The courtesan hesitated for a moment. She said softly, I only heard bits and pieces from other officials. If young Master Yang wants to know, I can tell you, but please don't spread it around. This incident happened during last year's Lantern Festival. That Zhou Li is a reckless man. During the Lantern Festival, he took a liking to a young lady, and, taking advantage of the crowded chaos, he tried to harass her, and even had her attendants beaten. Little did he know, the young lady had a powerful background. She was the daughter of Marquis Wu Wei. Her biological mother was the younger sister of Marquis Wu Wei's wife, so the young lady was dearly loved by the main wife, and treated almost as well as a legitimate daughter. In the end, Marquis Wu Wei filed a complaint with the emperor, and after days of back and forth, the emperor ruled that Minister Zhou had failed to discipline his son properly and fined him a year's salary. As compensation to Marquis Wu Wei of 5,000 taels of silver, Zhou Li was placed under house arrest for 3 months, with the warning that if he repeated such behavior, he would face severe punishment. These words struck Su Qian's mind like a bolt of lightning, inspiring him with a sudden burst of ideas. Suppose Zhou Li, long coveting the beauty of Marquis Wu Wei's daughter, and still bitter about the previous humiliation, acted impulsively, and decided to target her again. He might have sent people to kidnap her and hide her in a private residence, planning to kill her after having his way. That makes sense. Of course, the real goal is to frame him, so there's no need to kill an innocent girl. This is the rough outline of the plan so far. Seeing Su Qian lost in thought, the courtesan called out to him. In a tone that was both coquettish and reproachful, she said, Young master, are you planning to sit with me all night? Su Qian froze in place. He couldn't lose his virginity yet. If not sitting all night, what else could they do all night? After a long while, Su Qian finally lay down on the bed, and Fu Xiang immediately snuggled up to him. With one hand, she slowly began to remove Su Qian's disguise, while whispering softly in his ear, "My lord." A faint fragrance wafted into his nostrils. Su Qian, who had never been to a brothel before, looked serious, his body tense. The courtesan giggled softly. "Young master, are you perhaps inexperienced?" Su Qian quickly changed the subject, afraid that he might not. "Miss Fu Xiang, have you ever heard of a miracle where someone falls asleep within 3 seconds of touching a pillow?" The courtesan naturally didn't believe him, thinking he was just playing hard to get. 3 seconds later, Su Qian began to snore. Fu Xiang pushed him lightly, but Su Qian had already gone to have tea and discuss philosophy with the Duke of Zhou in his dreams. Fu Xiang was momentarily at a loss. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation. The next morning at dawn, Su Qian's biological clock woke him up naturally. He felt something heavy pressing on him, and when he opened his eyes, he saw the courtesan sleeping soundly next to him, her long, fair leg draped over his waist. Su Qian woke up feeling like a thief, eager to sneak away quickly. But as he was tidying his clothes, he noticed that his silver notes were missing. Just as he suspected that the maid in the small room might have tampered with his belongings, he noticed something unusual on the originally clean jade mirror. There seemed to be something extra on it. Su Qian then realized that all his silver notes had somehow ended up inside the mirror. He grabbed the small jade mirror and shook it vigorously. With a clattering sound, the silver notes floated out of thin air, hovering for a moment, before slowly falling to the ground. In the silent room, Su Qian held the mirror for a long time without speaking. So this mirror really is a treasure? Is it because I'm incredibly lucky, or did that Taoist priest intentionally give me this mirror? What was his purpose? Why would he give such a treasure to me? Did he discover that I have some inexplicable contract? But how is that possible? Even Kai Wei, who is skilled in reading fortunes, didn't notice anything special about me. I'm completely unfamiliar with the Taoist system. This inexplicable gift makes me uneasy. Su Qian hid the mirror in his robe and quietly left the room. However, he was spotted by the maid, which startled him. "Young master, aren't you going to wait for my lady to wake up?" Su Qian hurriedly ran off, saying, "I have urgent matters to attend to," while thinking to himself, "I'm afraid she'll call me a beast." A few hours later, in the Su family study, second Uncle Su complained, "Why did it take so long? You just got back and are already taking a bath. Couldn't you have bathed at Jia Fangji?" Su Qian coughed to cover his embarrassment. "Did you gain anything?" Su Qian shared the information he obtained from Fu Xiang and outlined his plan. Su Qian pointed out the crux of the matter. "Big brother, the core of this plan lies in how you're going to kidnap Marquis Wu Wei's daughter." Second Uncle Su suggested, "First, we'll have someone keep an eye on her, then find an opportunity to strike. When Marquis Wu Wei's daughter goes out, she'll definitely have guards with her. We'll create chaos and take her in the confusion." Su Qian frowned. "But if we act during the day, it'll be hard to kidnap her in front of so many people. If we attract the attention of ordinary Taoist priests, we'll only bring trouble upon ourselves." Su Qian smiled mysteriously. "What if I can solve this problem?" At the front gate of the Su residence, the gatekeeper, Old Zhang, found a servant unconscious in the flower bed. When he rushed over to check, he realized the servant had just fainted. Old Zhang asked, "Why did you faint here?" The servant looked confused, but after a moment, he seemed to remember who he was. "I was just boiling water for the young master, and then he suddenly called me into the room. After that, I don't remember anything." At the Department of Heavenly Affairs, Song Qing, with increasingly dark circles under his eyes, wasn't conducting any alchemy experiments today. Instead, he was hunched over his desk, writing furiously in his notebook. A man in white robes excitedly called out, "Senior Brother Song, the alchemy prodigy Su Qian is here to see you." Song Qing's eyes lit up. "He's here at the perfect time." Su Qian received a warm welcome from Song Qing. Song Qing looked serious, and after a moment of contemplation, he said, "To be honest, I'm a bit suspicious of you. These past few days, I've investigated your family history up to 18 generations. Su Qian was inwardly shocked. "You're saying this to my face? Is it really appropriate to investigate my ancestors up to 18 generations? He smiled and asked, "How did the investigation go?" Song Qing shook his head. "Your background is too clean." They didn't continue the topic further. Song Qing pulled out a stack of papers and handed them over. "Take a look at my recent research." Su Qian thought to himself, "I've already prepared the story about the mysterious master, but you're not even asking?" He took the manuscript and skimmed through it, almost standing up and shouting in amazement. On the paper, in addition to the plant grafting theory he had told Song Qing, this guy had extrapolated further and come up with several case studies. Su Qian put down the paper, calming his shaken worldview, and said, "I came to the Department of Heavenly Affairs today to ask for your help, Senior Brother Song. You probably know that I've offended Minister Zhou." Song Qing's expression turned serious. "I've heard about it. It's a pity I can't help you. For 4 days, I have not interfered in government affairs. Besides, a vice minister with real power is already beyond my capabilities." Su Qian laughed and said, "Brother Song, Don't worry. What I need you to do is very simple. Then he explained his idea. Song Qing was startled. This is impossible. I, Song, have lived an upright and honorable life. I will never do such a thing. Su Qian thought for a moment, then said with embarrassment, it was inconsiderate of me. Brother Song, let's continue discussing your grafting theory. Forgive me for being blunt, but this is impossible to succeed. Su Qian patiently said slowly, have you heard of the periodic table of elements? The Weiwu Marquis Mansion is located on Chuefu Street in the inner city. This street is Sun Gui's territory. The virtuous lady of Weiwu Marquis, Zhang Yueying, is going out today. She plans to visit the city god temple to offer incense and have a vegetarian meal. Then, she will go to the Wanyuan Earl's mansion to meet her close friend, a confidant, for tea and conversation. After the carriage traveled 2 streets, the maid following the sedan suddenly heard a commotion. 2 carriages behind them had somehow lost control. The coachmen were desperately pulling on the reins, their faces filled with panic as they whipped the horses. The maid was horrified. She directed the guards to intercept the carriages, while ordering the sedan bearers to evade. The guards were outnumbered, and only managed to stop 1 carriage. The other carriage knocked down 2 sedan bearers, causing the sedan to overturn instantly. Chaos erupted in an instant. After a brief moment of confusion, the 2 carriages continued to gallop away. The maid hurriedly got up to check the sedan, but when she lifted the sedan curtain, she froze for a few seconds before screaming, the second young lady is gone. In a small courtyard somewhere in the inner city, Zhang Yueying knew she had been kidnapped, but she didn't know who the kidnappers were. She had been awake for a while now. After the initial headache subsided, she had been in a constant state of fear. At that moment, the sound of a door opening came from outside the courtyard, followed by footsteps. Zhang Yueying's heart instantly raced, and fear exploded within her. She didn't know what she was about to face, but it definitely wouldn't be anything good. The footsteps stopped outside the room. Someone chuckled darkly, saying, this woman is really beautiful. I sneaked a peek earlier to check her out. Another person replied, you're really shameless. Then, after a pause, he added, you didn't even call me to join you. The 2 figures continued talking. Is she still a virgin? Of course. The second daughter of Weiwu Marquis is still unmarried and kept in the inner chambers. What do you think young Master Zhou will do with her? Although this woman is an exceptionally beautiful beauty, keeping her around for too long seems risky. You're overthinking it. Young Master Zhou will probably just play with her for a while. Once he gets bored, he'll strangle her and bury her in this courtyard. Who knows? Once young Master Zhou is done with her, we might get to have some fun too. This woman has such delicate skin, much more tender than the girls in the brothels. Well, what can you expect? She's the daughter of a high-ranking official. Come on, let's go drink. Is that appropriate? It's almost dusk anyway. We'll buy some wine and come right back. The footsteps faded away, followed by the sound of the courtyard gate closing. It seemed the 2 had gone out to drink. In Zhang Yueying's mind, the image of a richly dressed young nobleman flashed. Young Master Zhou, the son of the Vice Minister of Revenue. She recalled an incident during last year's Lantern Festival. He still hasn't forgotten about me? Once he's bored, have some fun. Kill her, bury her in the courtyard, and destroy the evidence. The young lady, raised in luxury and sheltered with meticulous care, trembled violently in terror. Tears streamed uncontrollably from her eyes. She tried desperately to make a sound. She struggled to free herself from the bonds, while twisting her limbs. Suddenly, she noticed the ropes around her wrists had loosened slightly. After what felt like an eternity, she finally broke free from the restraints. She immediately sat up, tiptoeing to the door. She listened intently for a moment. Confirming no one was in the courtyard, she cautiously walked into the yard. Then she ran with unprecedented speed the courtyard gate and pulled the latch. The door didn't open. It was locked from outside. Miss Zhang let out a desperate whimper. Across the street from the courtyard, Su Qian held a bowl of noodles, standing beside Su Xinyan. Will she be able to get out? Why lock the gate? Su Xinyan worriedly glanced at the courtyard. Su Qian slurped his noodles, and explained quietly, desperation unlocked. She can climb the wall to escape. Leaving it unlocked would be too obvious. This courtyard is Zhou Li's private residence, where he keeps a beautiful mistress. Now that mistress, along with the maids and servants, 4 people total, are all trapped in the mirror. The jade mirror could store objects and living beings. Su Qian had tested it with household servants. Without that mirror, kidnapping Miss Zhang would have been nearly impossible. Suddenly, they saw a head appear over the wall. A disheveled Zhang Yueying cautiously peered around before climbing down from the wall. She seemed to twist her ankle, collapsing to the ground motionless. After a long moment, she rose tearfully and stubbornly, hopping along the wall to the street. Just then, a patrol of jade blade guards passed by. She rushed toward them, crying, I'm the daughter of Weiwu Marquis. I've been kidnapped. Help me. The lead guard asked, who kidnapped you? Sobbing hysterically, she screamed, Zhou Li. son of Vice Minister Zhou of Revenue. Su Qian chuckled. Let's find an inn to stay the night. Tomorrow will be interesting. He walked away slurping his noodles. We'll wait for news at home tomorrow. Even Su Qian was surprised for once. After the Zhou incident, Su Qian solemnly advised Su Xinyan, Shijiao, remember this dash. In this world, beyond blood relations, all friends and enemies interact with you, solely based on interests. Especially in officialdom, no one helps you without reason, nor hates you without cause. Even your closest friends maintain relationships because you serve some advantageous purpose for them. When you enter government service, I hope you'll be an effective official rather than just an honest one. Remember, harmonize with the light, blend with the dust. Su Xinyan murmured. Harmonize with the light. What if I lose myself in power's intoxication? Su Qian half joked, half serious. Then that's your karma. Of course, if you become a corrupt official, I'll clean house myself. Su Xinyan countered. Should brother become a tyrant warrior, I'll do the same. Su Qian coughed and turned to Su Pingji. Uncle, witness our pact. Su Pingji slammed the table. Damn it. Talking about fratricide like I'm not here. In the nearby pavilion, an impatient voice carried over. How many times must I say dash? Hold your brush properly. Little Bean answered innocently. I know, teacher. Then fix your grip. The child blinked her big eyes. Fix what? The tutor sighed. Never mind. Today we'll recite. People at birth are naturally good. People at birth are naturally what? Are naturally good. Why do you keep pausing? Did I forget something? The tutor snapped, pointing at Little Bean. I refuse to believe I can't teach you. A muffled laugh suddenly echoed nearby. Princess Huiqing had arrived. When did Yunlu Academy become a sanctuary? The teacher bowed apologetically. Forgive the impropriety, Your Highness. These are family members of our students, seeking temporary shelter during household troubles. Huiqing immediately grasped the implication dash. They were political refugees. Which family do they belong to? Su Lingyue rose gracefully, curtsying with practiced elegance. My brother is Su Xinyan. Huiqing studied the delicate-featured girl, her tone softening. When did this occur? Justice was swiftly served, Su Lingyue replied. The princess's eyes narrowed imperceptibly. Huiqing carefully dissected the phrase. Swift justice served. The tax silver case's mastermind was Minister Zhou. Exactly 10 days ago, Su Qian clashed publicly with Minister Zhou's son. If they knew they offended Minister Zhou, why not flee the capital entirely? Instead they shelter women at the academy, while keeping their men in the capital. What scheme are they brewing? Connecting this to Minister Zhou's recent demotion, Huiqing narrowed her eyes slightly before continuing her ascent with guards. At the summit pavilion, Huiqing remarked, the headmaster's vitality has transformed remarkably. Dean Zhao smiled. As sages teach dash, in learning, age matters not. Truth leads the way. Huiqing contemplated this cryptic response. This must relate to the incident at Yashing Hall that day. Yashing Academy remains sealed, with none permitted entry. Even the night watchmen are powerless here. What truly occurred that night? The princess reined in her thoughts, inquiring pointedly. Dean, what's your view on Minister Zhou's military exile? For Phoenix Court politics, this is merely the opening gambit of factional warfare. Since Li Mubai's 3 failed appeals, he's abandoned chess entirely. The dean stroked his beard. Few here match my skill. Since your highness honors us today, would you indulge this old man in a game? Huiqing's lips curved coldly. Dean seeks his own humiliation willingly? In another pavilion across the mountain, Zhang Shan trembled while reading poetry, muttering, after decades of study, the capital has birthed literary mastery. This depth of conception, elegance of phrasing, and transcendent spirit dash even surpasses who under heaven doesn't know you. This Yang Ming, what genius! How have I never heard of such talent? Grand Tutor Chan cleared his throat. A scholar from Changel County dash wrote this at the Jaya Fangji banquet. An awkward silence filled the tea room. The 3 great scholars sat stiffly, the air thickening with unspoken jealousy. Zhang Shun finally broke the silence. We must inform the dean immediately dash. This scholar must join our academy. Such talent cannot be wasted. Chon and Li nodded grudgingly. Outside the pavilion, the Su brothers overheard while retrieving their family. Su Xinyan clamped a hand over his mouth, dreading Zhang Shun's demand for 300 copies of assigned texts. Su Qian chuckled lowly, recalling how those very poems had helped him touch the threshold of cultivation, but he'd never admit seeing Su Qian's inscriptions on the academy steals dash, especially not in front of his brother. Chintai suddenly addressed them. You capital residents dash, heard of these new masterpieces? Talent requires humility, not arrogance. The world of scholars hides dragons and crouching tigers. The 2 great scholars flushed with irritation. This old codger simply our acquisition of such talent, yet they couldn't refute conventional wisdom. Zhang Shan conceded. The work is indeed extraordinary. Don't take it to heart, Ningyan. That ode to Winter Plum stands eternal. Arguments are meaningless. Su Xinyan cleared his throat dramatically, suddenly pointing at his brother. My elder brother actually composed that poem. 3 pairs of scholars' eyes froze mid-blink. Heads swiveled like creaking door hinges towards Su Qian, but the credited poet is Yang Ling. Su Qian scratched his neck awkwardly. Merely a literary pseudonym. The scholars erupted. You squander eternal verse on some painted courtesan, twisting winter's plum into Fuxiang's bloom. How utterly base. Dedicating sublime poetry to brothel flowers. Disgraceful, while secretly yearning. If only it praised my works. Su Qian bowed hastily. Future compositions shall first seek your esteemed refinement. Though their words scolded, their hearts whispered. Why not dedicate it to me? Ode to Dean Mubai would have immortalized our academy. Su Qian hurriedly promised. Future poems shall first seek your refinement. Grand Tutor Qin's eyes glinted hungrily at Su Qian, a predatory smile spreading. Su Qian shivered involuntarily. The old scholar's thoughts were transparent. If 2 mentors are good, why not make it 3? Su Xinyan's cough shattered the tension. How progresses our sister's education? Zhang Shun and Li Mubai fell silent, while Chun Tai forced out. That child possesses granite resolve. 4 tutors resigned within 10 days, swearing off teaching fledglings forever. The brothers exchanged stunned looks. Little Bean's destructive power exceeded expectations. As the family reunited in the mountain courtyard, the tiny academic wrecking ball came charging, her ink-stained hands waving wildly. Big brothers, I vanquished 4 scholars. Su Qian scooped her up, whispering, let's find you softer targets next time. Clutching his father's leg tightly, you finally came to take me home. He burst into loud sobs after speaking. Su Pingji tenderly patted his head. Lin Yin must have suffered during his enrollment in the academy. The academy teachers must be very strict. Su Lingyue watched the family reunion. What should be a joyful occasion, yet she couldn't feel happy. As the eldest son, big brother always gets mother's favor. Lin Yin can freely throw himself into father's embrace without hesitation. But me, stuck in the middle. As her thoughts wandered, Su Qian suddenly took her hand. You've grown closer to your sister while I was away. Su Lingyue started to speak, but Su Qian interjected. Let's go home first. Su Lingyue's all gloomy thoughts instantly vanished. She nodded vigorously. Annie suddenly asked, husband, during my absence from the manor, did you go carousing? The Su brothers answered in unison. No. Annie rolled her eyes. I wasn't asking you. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed since their return. Lingyue said to her brother, big brother, since we're free today, let's go out. Second Uncle Su immediately protested. No. What if we encounter ruffians like Jolie again? I'm free today too. I'll accompany you. Su Lingyue massaged her temples. Never mind. Suddenly I feel dizzy. Better not go out. Second Uncle Su stood frozen. What's that supposed to mean? The gatekeeper Lao Zhang rushed in. Master. 2 officers are at the gate, claiming to be night watchers. In the Great Feng dynasty, night watchers carried ominous connotations, synonymous with criminal accusations, imprisonment, confiscation, and bloody affairs. Both night watchers appeared surprisingly young. The left agent maintained a solemn demeanor, while his counterpart stood in stark contrast. Smiling brightly, he inquired, who here is Su Qian? Come with us. Su Pingji stepped protectively in front of Su Qian. Your honors. What has my nephew done wrong? The smiling night watcher recited. With clean hands at daylight, fear no night watchers at night. Su Qian placed a hand on his uncle's shoulder, addressing the night watchers. I'll accompany you. Knowing the night watchers' reputation for sudden violence, Su Qian feared they might draw blades without warning. Inside the night watchers' carriage, thick silence hung between them. Su Qian's anxiety intensified. Why would night watchers target him? Could it be related to Jolie's case? Impossible. While not claiming perfect execution, he was certain, in this surveillance-free dynasty, they couldn't possibly link him to the Zhang family's kidnapping. Even with clues, they shouldn't identify him this quickly. Su Qian reached into his robe, producing a silver note with practiced ease. Esteemed officers, this humble citizen admires your noble service. Please accept this token for tea. 10 taels for your kind guidance. Any information would be greatly appreciated. The night watcher remained impassive. Night watch code states, 10 taels, 50 lashes. 50 taels, exile. 100 taels, execution. Would I risk flogging for 10 taels? Then grinned. The price needs to be higher. Su Qian produced 30 taels. The night watchers divided the silver swiftly, 10 each for themselves, the rest for Jia Fangxi tonight. After splitting, the smiling night watcher finally advised, we're just following orders. Remember at headquarters, answer what you should. Deny what you must. Even under torture. Su Qian cursed internally. This was common sense advice. I paid 30 taels just to hear this? After what felt like an eternity, Su Qian was escorted to Night Watcher's headquarters. The complex, Originally 2-3 courtyard compounds converted into offices, towering watchtowers stood. Black uniformed night watchers with bronze gongs patrolled, moved with military precision, radiating authority. Su Qian wondered whether he'd be thrown into their notorious black prison, renowned for its bone-grinding reputation. Rusty door creaked open. Guards barked, "Move." As Su entered, the smiling night watcher called after him, "Forgot to mention, pray to the gods now." Su Qian's heart dropped. A voice like frozen steel made his hairs stand on end. "We meet again. Answer truthfully. One lie and you'll taste the rack." Li Yuchen stood before him, the stone-faced investigator from the tax silver case. He commanded, "Before we begin, straighten your collar first. Basic decorum matters." Su fumbled with his garments. The interrogation commenced. "Were you aware the mastermind behind the tax silver case was ex-minister Zhou?" Su answered truthfully. "Learned from astrology department's Kaiwei." "Did you know Zhou Li's attack stemmed from revenge?" Su nodded. The day white-robed officials stormed the justice ministry, before countless witnesses. "This truth cannot be denied. Knowing Zhou Li wanted you dead?" Su nodded again. The unknown Silver Luo's eyes flashed with predatory intensity. "Thus to counter Zhou's vengeance, you abducted Marquis Wu's niece and framed Zhou Li?" Su's mind raced. So this was their angle, yet he maintained a perfect mask of bewilderment, feigning panic and indignation. "Your words confused this humble one, sir. The kidnapping of Marquis Wu's niece. You were absent from Chengel County office. State your whereabouts." "This lowly one visited pleasure houses. I neglected official duties, often slipped away to brothels. Constable Wang and colleagues can verify. We all shirk responsibilities similarly." Li Yuchen countered. "Explain the gate permits? Registry shows you obtained multiple inner-city access passes." Su Qian erupted in manufactured fury. "False accusations. Never crossed to inner city. Never requisitioned passes. Pathetic attempt to entrap me. Passes were acquired through proxies. No traces lead back. Commissioned through Yang Lin." "What's that to Su Qian?" "Interrogation tactics? I'm a professional too." Li Yuchen. "Had we not obtained evidence, your performance might have convinced even us." Su Qian remained stoic. Another compliment? Delivered with such certainty,